Hello everyone, we are back in My Energy Game podcast. Today we've got Tina Hertz, our co-founder, and today rather than just do a normal podcast, we're going to try to have a play role. How are you, Tina?
Oh, I'm good, thank you, Edu.
Excellent. So the topic is going to be energy around perceptions and perspective. But again, we're going to pretend that I'm an athlete and Tina is a friend of mine and I've got some problems or issues with my coach, manager. So in that way, probably it will resonate directly to some of our audience who obviously are athletes, and at times they may have some obviously disagreements or misunderstandings which generate a specific energy around perception and perspective in their day-to-day life. So Tina, let's crack on. So I'm an athlete, you're a friend, we are meeting up, and I've got something to tell you, which is that I've the other day I had a conversation with the manager, and I said to the manager that why wasn't he or she, let's put it just generic for our audience, but let's say he for the play role, that I asked him why he wasn't playing me.
Okay, when you asked him why he wasn't playing you, what was your feeling? Was he looking you straight in the eye? Did you feel he was giving you the reason, the right reason why he wasn't playing you?
What he said kind of makes sense, because he said, well, there are a few players in your position and I feel those players are doing well, therefore I just want to keep them. But it didn't come across very authentic, and I don't know, it left me this energy of having the perception that he was kind of lying to me, or not, or holding back the whole truth.
Okay, do you feel he was doing that because he didn't want to hurt your feelings? Or do you think he was just masking a situation? And how was the energy around? How did you feel when he was talking to you?
I felt he was actually holding back, like he wasn't honest 100%, or brave enough to kind of like just say how it is. But what makes me a little bit upset is that he knows that I'm quite straightforward. So I would prefer him to kind of say, well, this is what you need to do in order to play, or this is what you are not doing, so that's why I'm not playing you. Rather than just say that, the others are playing well or there are more numbers there.
Okay, so do you feel in, the history you have with this manager, do you feel that he's not really seen you?
Yeah, in a way, because, the energy around our relationship, in the training ground, in the games and in the team discussions, is that, he is never very complimentary, or never really, I don't feel appreciated. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't appreciate me, but clearly he doesn't get me. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I don't think he gets me.
So maybe he's not thought about you and took the time to get to know you as maybe he's got to know other players. Maybe he's got a preference with other players, or maybe he just doesn't know how to express himself with you.
I know, but then, Tina, the problem here is that because of his perceptions, the energy around our relationship is that obviously I don't play that much, and because obviously clearly he doesn't feel comfortable with probably what I'm going to say or how I'm going to react. I don't know. I don't know anymore whether it's down to my football or down to personal preferences or energies or perceptions or perspectives. And that's not fair.
Right. So I feel for the future, just taking it forward, he might not mean any of this. He might just be thinking, oh yeah, these certain players, I just want to put them all the time because I know their track record, and here's you, you've got your track record, Edu, but he's just sticking to certain players.
Yeah.
and not thinking, have a bit more vision.
Yes.
Who he's going to place there. But maybe you need to have the conversation with him to say, yeah, like you said, you're straightforward. Look, you're not playing me. You're saying this to me, but I'm not feeling that you're totally being honest with me. So, because it could be he is being honest or he's not being honest. But the thing is, you are picking up an energy that something is not right. So get to the bottom of it. Maybe he's picking up an energy that, oh, yeah, I like Edu. Yeah, I'd like to play him, but I'm not sure if he can handle it yet. So I'm just going to wait some time. So he might still be thinking, oh, in a few months' time, I'll push you more forward. But maybe he's not explaining things properly to you.
Okay, so now, just for our audience, for our listeners, this is obviously the play role we've had. This is the case study. This is just something that might resonate with all of you, because all of us at some point or another that we've been players, we haven't been played by the manager at some point or another. Therefore, this is obviously the example we've created. So now let's discuss, just coming away from that, Tina, let's try to unpick a few of the things from that play role that we've just done, from that kind of like realistic example that some of our listeners might obviously find themselves really close to it. I was saying things like, when we've been having this, clearly the athlete, and you were the friend of the athlete, clearly in my mind I'm thinking, well, sometimes it's as simple as the energy around perceptions and perspective is as simple as people probably not really listening to each other.
Yeah.
People probably not trying to understand to each other, and both people kind of like really holding their ground. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I feel that can happen. Or somebody, they have a certain idea of the person in their mind, perspective of that, thinking how that person's going to react even before they've had the conversation. So then they might hold back and not really have the conversation they want to have. And of course, then you're going to pick up, well, I don't know, that doesn't feel true to me. Maybe they could have said it in a different way, or I'm not feeling they're being honest with me, because that person is not really being present in the moment with the actual person they're talking to.
So, in a way, we're also saying that you could help create a different reality, therefore a different conversation, if you went into that conversation with the manager with also a more open-minded approach, giving him or her the space to actually be truthful and maybe asking the right questions for you to push for them to be truthful.
Yes, because I feel sometimes people hold back or go round the edges because they've got maybe a perception of you're gonna react that way if they say that. Where you probably wouldn't act that way. You might say, oh, okay, thank you, I understand now why you're not playing me today or why you said that. And then you can always say, oh, how do you see me then? What is your perception of me? And then when they say something, you think, wow, I'm not that person at all. Or, God, that's very interesting. I didn't know I came across like that. And then can you see where there can be that disjointed communication?
And by doing that, maybe you are ended having a conversation which might be a bit more difficult than a simple, why are you not playing me, you giving me a reason, I'm going home. But probably the outcome will be better, because at least you will know where you stand, and you will know, okay, well, this person actually has this perception about me, and maybe that perception is what is stopping this person from playing me. Nothing to do with my football. Therefore, what I need to focus a bit more is on how to build that relationship with this person, and not so much about feeling guilty about my football, because probably it's not that much about football. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Sometimes it can be about football.
Sometimes it could be about football,
It
yeah.
could be. Well, I think, he's not a great player as the other player. So I'm going to play safe and keep putting that player there.
Yeah, true.
But sometimes it could be you need, if you had some more encouragement, you could be just as good player as the other player. But if that person's got perception of you, like stuck thinking, oh, that player will never play like that player, and thinking of the team as a whole to win, that you're always going to be a bit of disadvantage because of that person's idea of you.
Yeah. So again, we go down to what we've said before in a couple of other podcasts, and the conversations we've had, and obviously things that we are going to do in the future for our audience, not just in podcasts, but workshops and hopefully webinars. That, of course, the technicality is important. And when I say technicality, I mean your football, whether you can play football and whether the manager thinks that you are a good player to play every single minute. But also, it comes down to building relationships. Because when you have a clear understanding and a clear relationship with the manager, the coach, or whoever, or whatever the context is, you've got a better chance to have a more favourable outcome, right?
Yes. I think it's important that, you try to be present here in the moment. Every player, I'm sure, has a strength and a weakness.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling like, help with the weakness. The strength is already there, but don't let your perception and I don't like how the player looks, or I don't like how the player talks to me sometimes, get in the way of you making a decision to play that player.
Yeah.
So try to be honest, try to be here in the moment, try to be open and say, well, if that player's got some weaknesses, or let's build on who that, really see that person in front of you, and so that person can be open with you and say, look, I'm not playing you because blah 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 blah, but also if we but we're going to improve on that, let's see how I can work with you.
Yeah.
Then you can come back and say, okay, I'm willing to work on this.
And that's how things can work between, obviously, this play role that we've done between manager and player, but it could be within any other context to do with two people, where by listening to each other and really going into that conversation with an open mind and without any perceptions or any sort of perspective, just with the open-minded of, okay, let's see what this person is got to say, and then on the back of that, I will then be truthful and I will reply according to my values and my views and who I am. But of course, if you go into any conversation, whether it's this play role that we've just done or any other conversation, with already perceptions about the person that you're going to talk to, with already your own perspective, with your own kind of outcomes, I mean, wow. I mean, it'll really be difficult, right, to come away of that conversation with anything positive.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's the energy created in the conversation. So that person is probably going to pick up that energy, right?
Yes, of course they are. And then they're going to react a different way. They might react by listening or deciding only to half listen, or to think...
Or even be defensive.
Yeah, be defensive. What's the point of listening when I feel that person... Well, I'm picking up the energy. That person's already made this assumption of me.
Yeah.
So it's important, isn't it, really, for us to try to have a conversation with each other, to be open, to listen, to be present with our thoughts, be here now.
And without any perceptions or perspectives beforehand. Therefore, when we go into that conversation, the energy is clean, the energy is light, and everyone then holds their own space to be able to then come away of that conversation having been truthful. Because
Yes.
obviously, if you go into that conversation already with heavy energy, with already a few thoughts in your mind, which are more assumptions than anything else, probably the other person is going to pick up that energy, and you won't really find common ground. And obviously in the player role we've done, the one who's got more to lose in short term is the player. probably medium term or long term would be both, because the manager would probably stop playing someone who could perform really well for him or for her. But short term, obviously in that player role, the one who's got more to lose is the player. So it's important to obviously work together without perceptions, without perspectives, with being in the now, in the present, so the energy is level, balanced and light.
Yes. From that, that could be really positive outcome for both people, either way.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Tina.